So hello everybody from Berlin. My name is Laura Geiger and I'm happy to talk about the MIRA smartphone app. Actually, it is a MIRA mobile monitoring tool, and as it says, for mobile devices. So it's not just for smartphones, also for other devices as tablets. How does this start? It started in 2012 with a small team from the Eberswalde University for Sustainable Development in Germany. And it was also, happily, we got some funding from WWF UK under the Innovation Fund and some smaller funds from Germany. And this is how we started. The reason actually, something else. Like at the moment, we are still working on it with a small team. Programmers, interface designers, and we are somehow part of the CMP, like a working group. And of course, that's why we are presenting here. The app is based on the Miradi software. It is currently piloted in Guatemala, Ukraine, Kenya, and hopefully we will do some work in Chile and Mexico and some other parts in the world. Why actually did we start this monitoring app? And it was because I was working in this project in Guatemala, this is the case study. And what I realized, I already worked with Miradi, so they had really nice plans. But when they went into the fields, that was actually not connected. So they did often something else what actually was on their plans. And when they came back, it needed extra time to sort actually their data. What else? Then they came back with their piles of paper, and this is actually really what I saw. They were flying all over the places. People often didn't have enough time actually to put the data in. So it was really a problem on where to put this stuff, and then also who's actually doing it, because it was very time consuming. And the last one was also that several devices, either the camera was missing or the GPS, or it was not loaded. Of course, with the phone you might have the same problem, but reduce the risk, it's all in one device. So we thought, why not an app for Miradi? So, and actually, this is how it starts. We start with a plan in Miradi. We have this on the computer, and then we import it to the app that works over Wi-Fi. And then you're in the field, you do the field measurements, and you do this according to Miradi, of course, for your targets, direct effects, contributing factors, strategies, intermediate results if you want. And as a phone can do, you can record the GPS automatically, make pictures and make notes. From there, it goes back, and I explain this in a little bit more in detail. It goes back either to Miradi or to a server or to an Excel sheet. And then you start the whole process again. Here a little bit more in a schema to understand. From actually between Miradi and the app, there's a little tool. It's called the engine to transfer actually this information into the app. And from the app, you can go back over Miradi, but you could also, as the the above arrows show, the information can go straight to the server, to the online database. This is an idea. This is, as you hopefully know, how Miradi looks. And this little blue screen here in the middle, this is this little transferring tool, as we call it, the engine, which helps us to actually translate the information from Miradi into the app. Again, since it's by Miradi, we're using the same terminologies and we use the same color code. So the targets, as you see it, sea turtles, for example, go on the phone and they're still sea turtles, they're still green. The threats are still red and the strategies are still yellow. This is how it looks. Now we had an idea how actually the visual image looks like of the app, how it would look. I can't show you this now, how it looks on the phone. And the second actually screen, you see you put a value in. This is already under your indicator list. If we are in this, for example, the indicator is deforested area, then you can put your value. It could be also 2 values in case it is a range. Then you choose a unit. We had to put some extra features in addition to Miradi, because we realized for field purposes we need some extra characteristics or features. So location, as I mentioned before, automatically this is in GPS coordinates. You can change it afterwards in case it wasn't accurate enough. You can also choose your location to define this project before to help, because by GPS coordinates that's sometimes a little bit difficult. The data is automatically in, but you can also actually change it afterwards. You have some comments. On the third screen from the smartphone, then you can put some attributes. This is something what we realized is necessary for field measurements. If people say, additionally to the indicator we set for from our planning perspective, we need sometimes extra information as if you're talking about, for example, wildlife conflicts, human-wildlife conflicts actually, then it's not only necessary how many events we had, maybe it's also necessary to know how much farmland was destroyed, what kind of tools maybe the farmers used before for protection or not, how many animals are injured, how many people were injured. So these are extra information maybe a planning team not necessarily wants to know, but on the field level, the field officer maybe wants to know. So that's why we added this field of attributes. Then as you can see, you can put images as much as you want. And then you can also exchange data right away, which is a email function where you just send this specific data entry. This is interesting if you're talking about forest fires or any urgent occasions you want to send right away to your maybe project person. Something important to mention, the app of course works offline. So once you have all your data on the phone, you don't need any Wi-Fi signals or 3G or anything. It's stored of course in a database on the phone. So the fourth screen is actually also an extra feature that you can do, set up some patrolling teams. If you have one person responsible and maybe 4 or 5 people with them in the field and going for a week, then you want to know what the team look like. And there's also added some extra meta data, something like how many kilometers they went, how long is, how many data entries they took as a patrolling team, or you could also say monitoring team. What else? This is more a detail how the indicator list look like. You could also then do a small, what we call a small evaluation on the phone. So you can decide for certain indicators you want to see how they are and what correlation they are. In this case, for example, eggs from sea turtles, mortality, and lobster. Is there any correlation or not? It could be also something like tourism activities. Definitely they would have an influence on the eggs. And you can of course also show all your data entries on a map. This is an online map and an offline map we work with, and then with the little dots you see a small overview of your indicator. What we recently added is that you can also download your person or tailor-made map. That means if you work with shapefiles, for example, you're working on forest deforestation, but you also have some concessions in your area. You want to know where exactly are the concessions to see where it is illegal and where it is legal, actually, the deforestation activities. And of course, Google doesn't tell you, it's also not OpenStreetMaps, so you need your own personalized maps to navigate in the fields. Very happy about that. This is something recently we added. So this is how the server looks like, and I don't know if I could even try to show you this online. Let me check that. Yeah, so this is the server, how it looks online. And as you see, it doesn't look that nice. We can still put some work, some graphical work into it, but so far we just did the programming work. You see here.
We still see your PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, okay. So then let me do this for a second because they asked me what I wanted to share. Is that better?
Yep, we can see online now. And just so you know, you have about 4 minutes left.
Yeah, great. I think I need just 2 more, hopefully. Still time for questions. So as you see on the right side here, it's the same logic, the same color code. And it looks pretty simple. It's just a list to somehow simulate also Excel. People are very familiar with Excel. And on the right side here, you see, just move it a little bit. You have here the team members, you have the organizations, because we realized sometimes it's important if you work with citizen science, like certain communities and groups, you wanted to know afterwards actually how valuable is your information. Like, is it from a university? Is it coming from different groups? Since we already worked with the app with different groups and we need differentiation. So as I told you or showed you at the end, you can, when I go just on the X, sea turtles. Again. Sea turtles, and then you see here are the pictures. There's actually a real case in Kenya and Lamu, and I can show this on a map. I have here extra information on that. And of course, if I've chosen more indicators, they would also, I would see more indicators. At the moment, I only see eggs in one nest and the successful hatchling with another one. So this is one feature. Another feature is actually the time series chart, which is also very simple. As I said, it shouldn't compete with Excel or anything else, just to show in a very quick or rough overview what was happening. And the last thing the server can do, these are actually the main features, is also exported as an Excel file. And if I do that, it's German, I say, yeah, just open it. And Excel opens. So I think in the future that it's a pretty strong tool. The server can be used for much more things. You can also put in information manually if you didn't collect them over the phone. There are a lot of questions of participants who ask. Here you see just quickly, that's the Excel file. It looks pretty simple, but you can transfer it to whatever you want. Just close it again. So you can manually add extra information. If, for example, you have information from a survey you didn't collect with the app, then of course to have a storage where you have all your information together, you can do that here. And eventually also, already some of this information goes back to Miradi. This is already possible, but of course, since we added some extra information, not everything can be stored at the moment, especially if it comes to pictures, and these attributes, this extra information. So this is something we have to work on. And I really would like to get some information, ideas, advices from practitioners, and happy to also get in contact for pilot testing and further interest. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Laura. That's great. We do have two questions and they're related. So let's do these two related questions. Actually, one of them is long, so I'm going to think about how to answer that. So we have a question about how do folks get access to the app, and is it open source?
Yes, it is open source. So far, if the server wanted to be used, or if people wanted to use the server, there will be a fee for that, just for maintenance and doing just maintenance work for the server. But the app itself is for free, and you just write. Sorry, I didn't show you my the contact details. It's in my presentation. I don't know if you share the presentation afterwards, but in the presentation there are my contact details. You write me. There's also a web page where you get more information. Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, we'll be posting these on the Miradi community page, so that people have a link to the YouTube video where they can watch it and see your contact information. And let me just check, Laura, can you see the Q&A box? If you click down at the bottom, can you click on Q&A?
Yeah.
You can. So what I'm going to ask, do you see a button that says answer by text?
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping is if you could answer the second, there's a couple of questions related to how often is the indicator value that one would enter into Miradi actually the value collected in the field, with some additional detail. And then there's a question about how does this app compare to the smart spatial monitoring and reporting tool. So Laura, I'm going to ask if you wouldn't mind if you could answer those by text, and then we'll have a record of those answers, and then that will allow us to move on to the next presentation.
Yeah.
Sounds
That's
great.
fine. Just one quick question. Since you record this, the presentation with my contact details is on a page I didn't show so far. Should I just quickly go on this, that it's recorded, or how do we do that?
Why don't you flip to that, or the other, you could also answer by text. You can type your contact info in there as well.
Let me just quickly do this last thing. Second. And I had some more slides, but we can answer this another time without change. And then that's my contact details. So